Hello and welcome to Photography with Imre, and last time I checked, it's still me. And today is episode 15, aka part 3 of the Flash mini-series. And today we're talking about RedEye. Check it out. Let's begin with the topic of RedEye and causes of it. When we see people with demon-like peepers, there are usually 5 things that come together to make it happen. First, there's usually a lack of light in the environment, which, second, causes the pupils of individuals to dilate, in other words, open wider to allow more light through to the retina. Third, a photographer takes a picture using the flash. Fourth, the flash is physically located close to the optical axis of the lens, which is an imaginary line that runs through the center of it. And last, people must be looking more or less directly into the lens. And poof, the flash goes off, its light travels into peering eyes, and gets reflected back into the camera's lens thanks to the retina. To be more specific, the red color actually comes from the choroid, a blood-rich tissue layer behind the retina. Blood. Now, you've probably noticed this effect in animals without having any flashes having to go off, and that's because a vast majority have a highly reflective tissue layer, usually positioned right behind their retinas, called the tapetum lucidum. Humans lack this layer, hence why RedEye doesn't occur as frequently and can usually only be captured under particular circumstances. By the way, point-and-shoot cameras are generally the most prone to causing RedEye, as the flash generally sits really close to the lens. Fascinating, but RedEye in photographs is usually a bad thing. Luckily, there are several ways of combating this demonic possession. To start with, you can set your camera to use the RedEye flash mode. When you take a shot using this setting, the flash will go off a few moments before the exposure occurs. This results in 2 flashes, or series of flashes depending on the flash model you have, a fraction of a second before the picture is actually taken. The first flash of flashes cause the pupils to contract, making them smaller, which reduces the amount and chance of light reflecting back out of them. The second flash is of course used to provide proper illumination for the exposure. This generally works quite well, but there are a few downsides. First, if people are unaware of the multiple flashes, many will move slightly or blink before the actual exposure happens. And second, if you're using slave flashes to provide additional lighting, they'll be triggered and fired too soon, again before the camera takes the photo. But we still have several options left. If your flash has a swivel head and can be used to bounce, then you don't have to aim the flash directly at people. This may also produce more aesthetically pleasing, softer light. However, depending on your location, for example, a place with a really high ceiling, then using bounce flash won't be effective. Let's see what else can be done. Well, if you're in a situation where you can command your subjects, then have them look into a bright light source for a second or two before taking a shot. This has a similar effect to the RedEye flash mode. The pupils will contract for a long enough time period to hopefully capture a deer in headlights free shot. All is well with this technique as long as you have a bright light source nearby. And if you need your subjects posed, then having them look away may not be a suitable option. Next on the list to prevent RedEye is to simply have your subjects look away from the lens rather than staring right into it. This way the chances of light reflecting off the retina are next to none. But as you can see, having your subject look away may not always be the right way to handle RedEye issues. Another alternative is to put your flash further away from the optical axis of the lens, which increases the flash or light parallax. If you're using a hot shoe mounted flash like this Olympus FL50 or have flash brackets at your disposal, you've pretty much eliminated RedEye from happening even if people look directly into your lens. There are actually not a lot of downsides to this method, but one that does come to mind is distance. In one case, I shot some subjects that were about 8 to 10 meters away from me, and my FL50 managed to produce a strong enough flash that caused RedEye to occur. As you can see on this diagram, the large distance altered the angle of the flash to the subjects. In other words, the parallax between the flash and the lens decreased. Now, the final RedEye reduction technique I'll mention is the virtual variety. Many photo editing software products usually have a RedEye removal tool, and even some cameras have such a feature built right into them. So if all else fails, there's really nothing wrong with this method, unless you have a crappy software package that does a bad job of manipulating the image. For some cool links to websites further on this topic, do check out my blog. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that episode. And next time I'll be doing slow sync modes. First curtain, second curtain, and fill flash, which should be really interesting. So definitely stay tuned for that. Speaking of which, definitely subscribe if you haven't already so you can keep up to date with all the stuff I'm up to. And you can check me out on Facebook where you can become a fan. And I will be writing a supplemental blog post to this video just like I do every time. So do check out my blog as well. Thanks for joining me, and I sure hope to see you next time. Take care.